Hey, this is Kami Gunpla, a Gunpla builder from Austin, Texas. This is my first video, so I'm not too sure about the video format going forward, but for now, since there's already an ocean of beginner Gunpla content, I wanted to go over tips and tricks on a kit, from a spray painter's perspective, right? Like kind of like at an intermediate level. So we'll go over specific areas to watch out for, the good and bad features of a kit, and special techniques to use to improve on a specific kit. I don't think there's anything better to kickstart this series than an RX-78 kit. So here it is. We'll start with the HG GTO Granddaddy. Overall, I really recommend this kit. As with all other GTO kits, for an HG you get MG level details. I would say the body proportions of this kit is even better than the MG version. Most of the Seamline locations are designed well, so you don't have to do a whole lot of Seamline removals as well, which could be difficult for beginners. For example, this head parts design is very impressive for an HG kit. Usually for an HG kit, you just see a front-back snap or a left-right snap leaving a big seam line down the middle, but for the GTO kit, the parts are actually separated from this little head detail line. So the parts become really tiny for that reason, so you gotta be careful not to break anything, but that's the price you pay for not having any seam lines. All the seam lines on the arms and legs are well hidden as well. For example, this upper arm part, the seam line goes down the middle, but it's disguised as a recessed panel line detail. You usually see hollowed out feet on HG kits, kind of a usual area for Bandai to cheap out on, but it's surprising to see that this time the feet are actually completely sealed. No need to fill it up with epoxy putty or anything, and you also get some articulation on the feet. Bandai was generous with the weapons this time. You get the usual hyper bazooka, a beam rifle, and also an early type beam rifle. I got a custom high-grade prototype RX-78 in the works, so I'm going to take this prototype gun to that kit, to save a little bit of work. You also get this shield and this backpack cannon thing. All the guns on this kit are simple left-right snaps, so you'll have to deal with all the seam lines down the middle. This backpack cannon with all the raised details on it is going to be the most difficult, and I'll have another video linked below on how I dealt with the bazooka. It's kind of the perfect piece to demonstrate how to do seamline removal since it involves a little bit of everything. This kit gives a lot of details already, so there's not a whole lot of need to add panel line scribing to the kit, except the shield, which does look a little bit plain. Here I drew out a rough idea of the details first, and I used some display tape and their tungsten chisel to add the details. Afterwards, just sand it off and brush out the dust, and now we got a way better looking shield, matching the overall tone of the kit. An easy way to make the kit really pop is by re-scribing all the panel lines. Right? Panel lines from injection molds can be kind of soft, especially after sanding the parts, which makes it difficult for panel line paint to really stay in. Just by running the lines again a few times with a scriber, you solve all that problem. With large surfaces, you want to sand down the entire part. Here I'm sanding the surface for the entire chest piece, and you see this uneven part not being sanded. This is really going to ruin the final product. It's pretty light, so I was able to get rid of it by sanding it down a little bit further and sharpening the edges back a little bit with the blade. As usual, you get this child protection bit on the antenna, so we're going to have to snip this off and using a sanding stick, sand down all the flat sides of the antenna to sharpen it. For curved parts, like this back of the head, it's good to sand the parts snap together so you won't create unevenness from sanding each side individually. And of course, we're going to have to rescribe the details since you lose a little bit of that during sanding. Afterwards, I washed the parts in an ultrasonic cleaner with a little bit of dish soap. Apparently, it helps the paint to stick better. Not sure if that's actually true, but definitely doesn't hurt. So, my paint booth is kind of a mess right now, so I didn't get any footage on the painting process, so just kind of imagine if it's there. I did some masking on the white, but with a very light gray to not overdo the details. A lot of times you see people using a way darker gray, which makes the parts look way too busy for my taste. The red is just the RX-78 red straight from Mr. Color. The blue is a mix of cobalt blue and regular blue and white. A more lilac color was used for the hatch, and the yellow is a mix of basic yellow and red. The RX-78 has a lot of unit-specific markings, so I opted with a full decal set from G Rework, and I got the back of the shield all masked, but it ended up looking way too busy for my taste, but I feel like no one can really see it. Anyways, here we got all the parts. Snap them in carefully to not scratch off any paint. And we're done. That's it for the HG GTO RX-78. This is a great starting point, I think, if you're thinking about stepping up your gunpla game on a painted kit. It's got enough details so you don't have to work too hard to get great results. Body proportions are great, so you don't need to do any large scale, re-sculpting. Maybe except the backpack cannon, the seamline on this thing isn't too great. Anyways, I think I'm supposed to say something like, if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment on what you think, and until next time, keep building kits and burning holes in your wallet. I'm out.